I would like to talk to you guys about something that has been on my mind. That has been on my mind for a few weeks now. I want to say it was back in July, which made me think about it. But I've been thinking about this for years now. And maybe there are some people that can relate to this, and maybe not. Maybe I'm the only one who has this problem. But I have been experiencing, for years, I've experienced this ongoing battle between watching either what's on screen, the internet, or reading and choosing to surf through the internet or watch TV or watch a movie over reading a book. Now, on the one I recently one of the booktube one, I'm not gonna say who, but a booktuber I remember mentioning. I heard him say in a video she didn't understand how people would rather watch what's on screen. Now, it's been a long time, so maybe I'm not remembering this correctly. And like I said, I'm not going to say who, so I guess it doesn't really matter, because I'm not going to push that person under the bus, because I'm not going to say who it was. But I remember a booktuber mentioning saying, I don't understand how people would rather watch TV than read a book. And on the one hand, I kind of agree that books definitely hold more value, and I do believe it's important to read books over watching TV. But here's my problem. I grew up on TV. Now, when we first moved into our house before this, I would sit at the dinner table with my parents and my sister, and we would watch The Simpsons, which is a really stupid cartoon, but really funny and really clever. Although I recently watched a video where it analyzed it and talked about how The Simpsons have gone downhill since. But it just drives me crazy when people are judging me, or even when I watch booktubers that they're not actually judging me or saying anything, but I watch them and I feel guilty because they find all this time to read 10, 20 books. And it's my own fault. I choose to let myself get addicted, but TV was my first addiction ever. The first thing I was ever addicted to. But I've always read books. Ever since I was a kid, since my parents had read to me every night, as I got older, I read books myself as well. I grew up with Nancy Drew, Miss Piggly Wiggly, all those popular kids books. One of my favorite childhood books was The Velveteen Rabbit. I was one of the kids who grew up with the Goosebumps books, and the third Harry Potter book had recently come out. So I've always read. It's not that I don't read, I just don't read 24/7. And on the one hand, I do kind of one of my best friends who loves reading too. There are times when I'm thinking she could read a book instead of watching TV or going on Facebook. But then I'm thinking, who am I to judge her? I still will get angry and irritated when I'm thinking, well, she could be reading something I would try and get her to read A Court of Thorns and Roses, but then I made the mistake of warning her ahead of time, which I figured at the time I thought, oh, I'm doing her a favor just to let her know, but then apparently put her in a reading slump. That there was a bit of a love trial, and the guy, spoiler alert, she doesn't, by the second book, her and Tamlin fall apart, but my friend she doesn't, she hasn't read the second book, and like most people, when you first read that book, I feel like you might not like Tamlin, or you're just not, or even if you do like him, you don't think about the fact that he's kind of abusive. Not kind of, he is. But he also has his own issues. And which that's another thing that annoys me when people are like, oh, I didn't like Tamlin, or, oh, I knew he was bad, and, I'm like, good for you. Do you want a gold star for that? It kind of bugs me, because it makes you feel like, oh, so, not that they are, but it's like, oh, it makes me feel kind of dumb that I didn't see it. I didn't see how bad of a character Tamlin was. Not that I was all gaga over him. There were some scenes in there that were like, oh, wow, some naughty little scenes there, but, I was ready to be like, oh, yeah, ready to be like, he's the love interest. But, it was not anything special at the time, and the problem was it was Beauty and the Beast, so that's what she, took elements of Beauty and the Beast, and I almost still am bothered by the fact that it was Beauty and the Beast, and that's my favorite fairy tale. And that Tamlin ends up not being the greatest beast. But anyway, so that's a whole other topic. Here I wanted to, but then, like I said, I feel like a hypocrite because there are times that I could be reading a book, and I choose to watch YouTube videos, or BookTube mostly now, or I choose to watch, like I got Are You Afraid of the Dark, which is one of my favorite childhood series that I've been trying to find to get for free, or at least get, and I hadn't had any luck, and then I found they were selling it at a little booth at the con, so I was like, okay, I think I need to get this. So I've been binge watching the whole series instead of choosing to read a book. So I can't really say anything to my friend, but I do see the value. There's more value in reading a book than watching TV, but then at the same time, it's easy to turn on a TV or watch a movie version. Then take a book and take the time to sit there and read the pages, and I feel guilty, but then at the same time I also understand why people would rather go see a movie than read a book, because it takes time. Yeah, but the problem is reading a book increases your intelligence, I feel like, reading books, and it exercises your brain, and I do think that's important. But I don't like to be made to feel guilty because I would rather be lazy and watch a movie or watch a TV series. And then there are sometimes I come home from work, because my job, I work at a grocery store, so it's retail, and I'm on my feet all day. Well, not all day. I'm only part-time, so yes, it's not as long, like maybe up to close to 6 hours at the most. But still, I am on my feet, I'm pretending to be polite, and then my job as a bagger, I also have to get the carts. So, and it's even worse during the summer. It's been worse during the summer, because, I've only been here for technically a year. I guess it would be a year this month. Or maybe last month, I don't know. I don't remember when I first got the job. But I will be outside getting the carts, going back and forth. And there is a rope that helps you get more than 5 carts, like several carts at a time, but because I have dexterity issues, it's hard for me to handle the rope and everything. So I'm going back and forth. At the most, I can get like 4, maybe 5 of the big carts. But it's a bit of a hassle. I'm going back and forth constantly. So I get tired. I'm hungry, because I'm trying not to eat. Like, I'm trying to get at least 2 hours or 3 hours, get half of my time actually doing my work, and not taking a break too soon. But then I get hungry around, noon. So I'm hungry and I'm tired. So when I get home, the last thing I want to do is try to, ironically, I recently read an article where they mentioned how reading a book is very relaxing. But sometimes, certain books are not, some books, unless you're reading like a young adult book or a middle grade book, not all adult books are going to be easy and as relaxing. Especially depending on what the book is about. Like this book I got from the library, Homefire, is not that relaxing. It's very tension-filled. And I do believe, yes, a book is very relaxing. But at the same time, sometimes you just don't want to concentrate on the book. You want to do something that's really easy, that doesn't require too much concentration. So sometimes it's just, you want to be a couch potato, or, be at your computer all day, and the rest, or be at your computer and just sit there and stare at your computer screen and listen to someone else talk. But basically, I just don't like feeling guilty. Not that these people or that booktuber I mentioned is trying to make me feel guilty. They don't even know me. So I'm not, I can't really get mad at them, which is not a frustrating thing. It's the only person you can blame is yourself. And you want to get mad at someone, that's where you have those people who blame everybody else. But you just gotta learn to listen and realize that, no, you can't really blame anyone else. You have to take credit for your own bad choices or your own mistakes or whatever. You know, not that, like, it's not like watching TV is like, you know, unless you eventually gain weight and eat junk food. But it's not as bad as, like, being an alcoholic or smoking. But still, it's not the best choice. But I do read a book. The problem is, I mean, I do read books. It's not that I don't. I read a lot. You know, I just don't read, like, I don't spend 24 hours. But then I also feel like I almost want to take a day to read for 24 hours. But then my thing is, I just don't want to sit there. I want to go. Now, I mean, of course, I have tried reading, walking around while I'm reading. I did try that once. But, you know, there's, of course, you're going to eat. You know, you're going to eat something. And my mom, because I have carpet, she would rather I not eat up in here in my room or have a drink that's not water up here in my room. So, you know, and, you know, you're going to get up and eat. And I'm also someone who does not like to sit for, like, not that I have ADD or something. I mean, I can sit for a long time. But then, eventually, I want to get up and go do something. And I feel guilty if I just sit there and do nothing. Like, not that reading is doing nothing, but just, I have to get up and go do something, go someplace. And then, of course, if I'm at an actual bookstore, then I'm like, oh, I want to go look at books. And I want to see how much money I can waste and buy, you know, how many books I could buy. Not that it's a waste, but, you know, books add up. Even if you go to a used bookstore or a charity shop, it's going to eventually add up. Unless you're, like, made of money. But, like, I always keep thinking, I'm going to do this. Or, you know, one of the booktubers I watch is Reagan from Peruse Projects, and she does these vlogs. And I kind of am a little jealous of her life. You know, how she lives her life. And but then I'm also thinking, well, it's my own choice. I make these choices to be a little lazy and not read a book all the time and let myself get tempted by the computer, and going on BookTube. Like right now, I'm sure when I'm done filming this, I'm going to just go straight to, I mean, I might go downstairs and grab some lunch, but I'll probably go straight to going through my notifications and watching videos. And then watching, like, shows. I mean, sometimes I do take the time to actually pick up a book and read for at least, you know, an hour. Maybe even less than, maybe 30 minutes. Because I'm not one of those books that's one of those people who's all like, I'm going to read 100 pages. You know, I'll read to a chapter. That's why I like how young adult books are set up, because their chapters are often really short. But I just don't like feeling, you know, it's my own decision, it's my own choice, and I'm aware of that. So but I also don't like watching booktubers where I feel like I'm kind of judged, even if they're not actually judging me. But I also get a little, you know, but then I think that the thing about Reagan is she doesn't have anything distracting her, because they just moved in that place, and I don't know, maybe they don't have enough money to get cable, or maybe they do, or maybe they just get Netflix. But it's a very hard habit to break. And I don't want to feel guilty if I'm still not breaking that habit. Which I guess and yes, you guys probably say, oh, just ignore those people. But let's face it, ignoring people is not that easy. I don't care what you say. You can say, oh, you can ignore people, but it's like, no, that's why you get people who get easily provoked. Because it really is generally hard to ignore people. You know? But yeah, I just don't like feeling, you know, it's definitely, but basically this is the struggle for me. I always have a war between what's on screen on the internet versus taking a book and reading a book. I keep trying to say that, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to read more, or I'm going to read for 24 hours. It's definitely a little bit easier at my grandma's house, because she doesn't have as many cable channels as we do. And, you know, a lot of times I'm not there, we're only there for a few days. Like a week, you know, a weekend, because now we're like 3 hours away. So, but then we're always going out and doing stuff with people. And then I'm just someone who doesn't like it when it's too quiet. I had this thing about that's why I would rather go to the bookstore than the library. Not just because I can actually buy the books and keep them, and I don't have to return them eventually, but I also, there's a steady noise at a bookstore. Yeah, at a library you have to be completely quiet. Well, not completely, but you have to be quiet and whisper, and I don't like that. It bothers me. I need to have some kind of noise, but at the same time, I can't, like, have the direct noise in my ear, like people directly talking right next to me, or like having the TV or playing, you know, some of my music or something. I can't do that because it's directly in my ear, and it's something that eventually I'm going to be drawn to. Like, I'm going to want to pay attention to, even if it's something I don't really care about, like some kind of stupid movie that I don't like, that my dad happens to be watching or something, or my mom's watching. And then, you know, you just can't help it. You get kind of curious. So I have to have almost not complete silence. I don't want complete silence. I hate that. But then I gotta have some silence. But, so yeah, the point of this is talking about how I struggle with trying to get myself to read more, to be able to say, I can read like 10 books in a month. But of course I know that is not the most important thing. You're not supposed to, you know, it's not the most important thing to how many books you read. It's not about the quantity, it's the quality of the books you read. That's what matters. But I always, you know, it's kind of hard though. Like I said, like I pointed out earlier, it's hard to ignore people. So you watch these booktubers that you really like, and they're talking about how they constantly read like 10 or 20 books, or even more than that, maybe even 100 books. And maybe that's exaggeration, and you're like, why can't I do that? But then, of course, in my case, I acknowledge that it's my own fault. I choose to watch TV or surf on the internet when I can be reading a book. But then, I'm not a speed reader either. I'm not that fast of a reader. You know, I'm just starting to read more adult books and get through them more. Or, well, I shouldn't say adult, but the 500-page books. Now, it does help if I don't have any other books to distract me, and that's why I was able to get through Diana Gabaldon's books, the first 2 books in her series. I was able to get through those quickly, because that was around the time we were getting ready to move, and my parents just sent me to go to stay with my grandmother, because this is the same said grandmother that I mentioned earlier, because she was, again, 3 hours away from where we wanted to move to. So it was just easier for my parents to send me, myself, and our dogs to stay with my grandma for a period of time, because, well, it's kind of hard with our dogs and the movers. I mean, of course, I think that's with anybody. Anybody with their dogs, it would be hard. With dogs and movers, it would just be very complicated. They'd be barking and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I was able to get, because I didn't have most of my books with me. I only had a handful of books that I brought with me that I wanted to read at the time. So it helps that I wasn't distracted by other books. That's the other problem, is I have all my books here, so I'm distracted. I mean, I have a huge pile right here of books that I want to read right now, that I'm thinking about reading, that I have this urge to read them, like, now. And I want to read them this month. And that's why I try to do TBRs. And I do, like, I was telling my friend Kayla that I think that I like marking off that I've read this book. You know, it's just this weird little, not fetish, but this thing that I like to do. Like, I'm a list person. I like making lists. I like marking off that I've done and accomplished things. Again, like I said, my point is that I feel like I don't want to be judged. I mean, but for choosing television or watching YouTube videos when I could be reading a book, but then at the same time, as much as I don't like it, it drives me crazy. I still feel bad. I still feel guilty. And it's not anyone's fault. It's my own fault. I let myself feel bad and feel guilty. But it is hard to ignore on BookTube when you watch these booktubers and you're like, how the hell do you do that? But then you realize at the same time, and maybe this is just me, that you do that because you spend all your time reading. That's what you do. You only read books. But then maybe not. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe these people don't just spend all their time reading books. Because they do have friends, you know, they go to school, they have jobs. So it's not like they don't have lives. But I have so many feelings about this. And I just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion about it. Am I the only one who feels this way? Am I the only crazy person that feels this way? You know, are there other people that have the same problem where they often put, you know, the internet or TV first, and they know it's their own choice. So if you guys like this video, I'm done for now. I'm done talking because I don't want this video too long, but I could ramble quite a bit probably. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to comment if you have an opinion on my video and if you agree or disagree, you know, if you feel the same, well, basically, feel free to comment if you feel the same way and have the same problem. And I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. All right, bye.